Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today in this video I am going to discuss repair and rehabilitation of concrete structure. Okay, so here in this video first we'll see what is repair, what is the basic definition of repair and how it is related to construction industry. After that we'll see rehabilitation and we'll see the difference between the repair and rehabilitation, and we'll see some of the examples of them, and after that we'll see distress in concrete, and after that we'll discuss visual inspection of the concrete structures. Okay, so first is repair. Restore, to restore something. Okay, everybody knows what is repair. If something has happened to some any object or something, like something has got this one damaged or something has got deteriorated, so that thing will be brought back to its normal condition so that it should act properly, how it was acting before or how it was performing before. So that process of bringing back to a normal condition is called repair in the general words. When it comes to a construction industry, we have to bring back the position of the structure to its previous condition, so it gives performance same as previously. It does not cover strength aspect of the strength aspect of the structure. Okay, so here we have the repair for the concrete structure is nothing but if the damage or deterioration has happened to a concrete structure, that will be brought back to its normal condition. Okay, but when the repair work has done and it is brought back to a normal condition, during that time we will not consider the strength aspect of the concrete. Okay, strength aspect of the concrete will not be taken into the consideration. And some of the examples of the repair are decoration of the structure, painting, whitewashing, checking the wiring of the building, replastering of any wall if required, and repairing of the damaged flooring. Okay, so these are the some of the examples of the repair. Okay, after that we have rehabilitation. Okay, rehabilitation means returning a building or a structure to a useful state by means of repair, modification or alteration, to bring back the position and condition of the structure by considering the strength aspect. Okay, so here in rehabilitation we have the bringing back the structure to its normal condition. Okay, that is same as that of the repair, but the difference between the repair and rehabilitation is that in the repair we are not considering the strength aspect, we are not considering the strength aspect of the concrete, but in the rehabilitation we are considering the strength aspect. Okay, so some of the examples of the rehabilitation are to fill the wide cracks using some suitable material. Okay, or injecting epoxy material in cracks in walls, columns, beams, etc., or removal of the damaged portion of the masonry and reconstructing it using rich mortar mix, or addition of the reinforcement mesh on both sides of the wall. Okay, so these are the some of the example. Okay, so when you see these example, you can see these examples will also lead to the improvement in this strength aspect of the concrete structure. Okay, next we have repair and rehabilitation. Repair is the technical aspect of the rehabilitation. It refers to the modification of structure, partly or wholly, which is damaged in the appearance of serviceability. Okay, so repair is the technical aspect of the rehabilitation. Okay, so rehabilitation you can tell it as a complete process, and to complete that process you may have many activities. Okay, so each activity may be said as a particular repair work. In repair work we are just doing one activity and it will be brought back to its normal condition. There we are just thinking of the appearance. Okay, and we are not taking the strength parameter into consideration, but in the rehabilitation it is a complete process, and that process may have many activities and each activity may be considered as a one particular repair activity. So when that complete process is been done, so at the end of the process you can tell that the structure has gained its strength also. Okay, next repair and rehabilitation of rapidly deteriorating structure is a matter of concern for most countries in the world. Okay, so for a country to be said as a developed country, the infrastructure of the country will be very important. When we are talking about the infrastructure of the country, the concrete structure will come into the picture. Okay, so when there are concrete structure, the repair and rehabilitation of those structures will also be very important. Okay, and if the repair and rehabilitation of those structures are not taken seriously, then the infrastructure may fall down. Okay, so the repair and rehabilitation has to be taken seriously by the countries, so as to keep their infrastructure in a normal condition or in a growing condition. Next, deterioration is observed in the form of cracking and corrosion. Okay, so deterioration is formed in the form of cracking and corrosion. So for a building which is getting deteriorated, or it is said to be getting damaged, so what happens to that exactly is there might be cracks which happens, or there might be corrosion for the reinforcement which for a RCC structure. So those are the two main things to be said as that the structure is getting deteriorated. First is the crack, and second one is the corrosion. It is very difficult to assess in totality the cause of damage, mapping the extent of damage, proper creative prescription, prediction of residual life with and without repair measures, instrumentation, monitoring and maintaining the health, and most importantly to strike the cost benefit ratio. Okay, here in this point there are many things. First one is, it is very difficult to assess the cause of damage. Okay, the cause of damage, what is the reason for the crack to happen, and what is the reason for the corrosion to happen. Okay, whatever may be the deterioration which has happened, it is very difficult to know the cause of that, what is the reason for that to happen. Next is mapping the extent of the damage. Mapping the extent of damage is nothing but to measure the extent of damage, so total how much damage has happened and what is the reason of that. Okay, so knowing the extent of damage or the measure of damage is very important to prescribe the repair work. Okay, next, proper corrective prescription, prediction of residual life with and without repair measure. Okay, so when you know what is the cause of damage and when you know what is the extent of damage, you can provide the prescription. Prescription is nothing but you have to tell what is the repair measure has to be taken. Okay, that is the prescription. And after that you also should it is also very difficult to predict that with the repair how much the service life it will give. Okay, with the repair how much service life the structure will give, and without repair how much service life it will give. Okay, that is also very important to know, because when you know that the difference between the with repair and without repair is not much, then it is better to replace the structure, right? So it is very important to know to know with the repair how much service life it will give, and without repair how much service life it will give. Next we have instrumentation, monitoring and maintaining the health, and most importantly to strike cost benefit ratio of the repair. Okay, so when you have prescribed the repair work, it is also very important to monitor the repair work. Okay, and also the most important thing is cost to benefit ratio. Okay, what is the cost required for the repair and how much benefit is giving. If the ratio is high, then you have to go for the repair work. If the ratio is not high, if the ratio is not good, then you have to go for the replacement of the structure. Suppose you can think, if there might be some situations where the repair work will be costlier than the replacement of the structure. So then at that time you have to go for the replacement of structure only. You should not go for the repair work or rehabilitation work. If you go for that, then it will become simply a costlier thing. Okay, it will not be economical one. So you have to go for the new one only. So you should able to understand the cost benefit ratio when you are prescribing the repair work. And this makes the industry large and multi-faced, and there is substantial amount of knowledge available on the issue. Okay, when you have the knowledge of these all things, okay, when you know what is the cause of damage, what is the extent of damage, and you know what is the cost and benefit ratio, you know what is the service life with repair and without repair, you know when you should have this all knowledge to prescribe the repair and rehabilitation work, and these many things are included in this will make the company, or this will make the industry large enough. Okay, so there are many companies and industries which are only for the repair and rehabilitation works. They will not go for the new construction works. They will go for the only repair and rehabilitation works. When you think that there are companies which are only for repair and rehabilitation, you can imagine how big is this issue. Okay, next, distress in concrete. Distress means damage. Concrete may suffer distress or damage during its life period due to number of reasons. Because of the varying conditions under which it is produced at various locations, the quality and of concrete suffers occasionally, either during production or during service conditions, resulting in distress. Okay, so distress is nothing but the damage or deterioration which is happening to the concrete. Okay, that this distress to the concrete may happen in two things. First one is during its construction work. Okay, when the construction work is being carried out, that time, or otherwise after the construction during its service life. There are two things, either during the construction or during the service life distress may happen. During the construction, if the suppose the quality of material that you are using for the construction is not as required, okay, or the process of work which is going on, or the process which is used, or the method of construction that we have used is not proper, that will lead to the distress in the later stage. Okay, first is during the construction, and second one is during its service life. During its service life, the distress also may happen. There are many causes for that, which we will discuss in the next slide. Okay, here in this slide you can see there are many causes of the distress. First we have structural causes, externally applied loads. Okay, you can see in the picture the horse is there, and he is being loaded with more than its capacity, right? So if these things happens, then the distress in the concrete structure will happen. Next we have environmental loads. We have wind load and also temperature stresses. If those are also may be the cause of distress in concrete. Then we have accidents. So if some sudden accidents happens, that also will lead to the distress in the concrete structure. Then we have error in design in detailing. Okay, the person who is doing the designer should do it properly. If he do some error in that, and the same detail is being given to the site engineer, then he will carry out the work according to the details given to him. Okay, but the error is there in that designing work, and the designer has done the mistake, and that when the work is carried out according to the details given to the site engineer, then at last it will lead to the distress to the concrete in the later stage. Next we have poor construction practices. Okay, the method of construction which is being used to carry out the work. If the method is not proper, that also will lead to the distress in the concrete in the later stage. Next we have construction overloads. Okay, the load which is been put on the structure. If the load which is put on the structure is more than its capacity, then also it will lead to the distress in the concrete. Then we have drying shrinkage. Okay, so these are some of the causes. Okay, in addition to the distress in hardened concrete, the plastic concrete may also suffer damage due to plastic shrinkage, settlement cracking, earlier removal of formwork, and improper design of formwork. Okay, so in the previous slide the causes that we have seen were for the hardened state of concrete during its service life, and in this slide the causes that we have is for the concrete which is in plastic form, when the concrete is still in a workable form and which can be molded into any shape. In that condition, if these things happens, this will lead to the distress in the concrete in the later stage. Okay, next here in this slide you can see some of the pictures which are showing the distress in the concrete. You can see this column, right? So these are those have got deteriorated, or distress has happened into those columns, and you can see that the cover to the reinforcement has been worn out, and inside reinforcement are visible. Even for this slab also, you can see the cover to the reinforcement has been removed. If this thing happens, then the reinforcement will get exposed to the environment, and the corrosion to the steel also will happen. And even you can see in this picture that the cracks has happened. Okay, next we have visual inspection and observation. The first step in the process of evaluation of a distressed concrete structure is a visual inspection and observation. Okay, so visual inspection, here the word itself, it says that visual is nothing but to see. By seeing, and we are inspecting that. So to know or to prescribe something, or to know that whether the deterioration has happened or distress has happened to the concrete or not, we have to go for the visual inspection. An inspector will be there who will go and check the concrete structure. When he see that, he will get to know whether there is a distress or not for that concrete structure. Okay, so when a person or an inspector will see from its naked eyes that the structure is distressed or not, he can guide the owner further. A visual inspection is an examination of concrete to identify and define many of the various conditions concrete may exhibit during its service life. Okay, inspector is there who is periodically inspecting the concrete structure, can give the history of the structure. Okay, at what period, how was the condition. Okay, then how concrete behaves in what loading condition, and in what weathering condition, and in what exposure condition, how the concrete behaves. So those all things can be told by the inspector. The visual inspection is typically limited to surface of the concrete. Okay, surface of the concrete structure that are visually accessible. Okay, so in visual inspection, we are seeing it from our naked eyes, right? Whichever is visible from the eyes is called visual inspection. If suppose something, the deterioration or distress is being happened inside the concrete structure, which is not visible from the eyes, will not be get to know by the inspector. Okay, so here the visual inspection is limited to whichever is visible from the eyes. Okay, that it is limited to that only. By completing a visual inspection of the concrete immediately after construction and through repetition at intervals during the concrete service life, the visual inspection provides important historical information on performance and durability. Okay, so inspector is there who is going to inspect the concrete structure, okay, throughout its life. So he will inspect soon after the construction how the structure is, how it is looking like. Okay, so those all whatever the criterias are there, he will inspect and he will keep a record. Okay, then each after interval, suppose 6 months or 1 year, he will come and he will inspect the concrete structure. So at each inspection he should keep the record, what is the condition, how it is looking like, what is the strength, durability, and whatever the criteria that are there, he will make a record. Okay, at the later stage, after some years, suppose there is a deterioration happening or distress is happening in the concrete, then he will easily get to know what is the cause of it. Why? Because each interval he is keeping the record, how it was looking like and what is the condition at that time. So when he is doing all that knowledge, when he is having all that knowledge, he will have the historical data of that structure, at what time how it was behaving, at what loading how it was behaving, at what exposure condition how the concrete structure was behaving. So he will have that all historical data, and it will become easy for him to direct for the repair work if there is a deterioration for that. Okay, next we have the inspection results also aid in early detection of distress and deterioration, enabling repair or rehabilitation before replacement is necessary. Okay, this is very important thing. So when an inspector is inspecting a concrete structure each after the interval, so he will get to know, before only he will get to know there is a distress which is going to be happen, or there is a deterioration which is going to be happen for a concrete structure. So when he will get to know that that is going to happen or that is happening, he will give a repair measure, and that repair measure will be done, and the service life of the concrete may be increased. If suppose the inspection is not done, or the inspection is not being done for that particular concrete structure, that at last will get damaged. So at that time the structure has to be replaced with a new structure. That will be a costlier one. So simply repairing a concrete structure will be a cheaper than replacing a concrete structure with a new one. Okay. It is important that the inspector properly document any observation related to environmental and loading condition. Okay, the inspector is there, and that inspector should keep all the records properly. He should keep all the documents at the each interval of the inspection. Whatever the observation he has made, that should be kept in record. While visual inspection is most often used in connection with the condition survey of the concrete that is showing the defects, some degree of distress, its application is recommended for all concrete structure. Okay, so suppose there is a structure and it is having some 50 columns. Okay, so if the one column is observed that it is getting deteriorated and distressed, then it has to be checked for all the columns, because if that is happening for that particular column, it may happen to other columns also. So when the observation is being made, and the inspector, if the inspector has observed that there is a deterioration or distress happening to one column, he has to check for all other columns also. The checklist includes items that might have bearing on durability and performance of the concrete. Individual making the survey should not limit their investigation to the items listed, but should review any other contributing factor. Okay, if there is an inspector, he will be given with one checklist. Okay, that checklist will have all the things which is to be checked: the color, if there are some cracks, if cracks are there, what is the width of crack, those all things will be listed, and the inspector has to check for those all things. Okay, so the inspector should not check only those things which is been there in the checklist. Okay, intelligent or inspector should use his brain or his common sense and should see all over. So if there are some things which is to be which is observed at the site which is not there in the checklist, so that thing also should be noted and documented. Following the guidelines does not eliminate the need of intelligent observation and the use of sound judgment. Individual performing the inspection should be experienced and competent in concrete condition surveys. Okay, just following the guidelines which are there in the checklist is not a big deal. Anybody can do that. He can see the guidelines, he can see the checklist, and he can check the concrete, and the inspection may happen. But beyond that is very important, which is not there in the checklist, and some unusual thing is been observed in the site, okay, which should not happen, and which is not there in the checklist. So that criteria will be very important. So it requires an experienced person to have that knowledge. In addition to written description, sketches of relevant features are valuable and encouraged. Photographs, including a scale to indicate dimension, are of great value in showing the condition of concrete. Okay, when the inspector will come and check the concrete structure, he will give a report in a written document. Okay, in a written thing, written description, he will give the things. Okay, so only giving the description in a written format will not be enough. He should take some pictures of the structure also. So after doing the inspection, he should take the pictures, and those pictures should be according to scale. Okay, so while we are doing the drawings manually in the BPD, we know the scaling 1:100, 1:50. Those scales we will give for our manual drawings. So the inspector who is taking the pictures should also mention the scale for the picture. Okay, if there is a crack in the picture, so the person who is watching the picture, who is seeing the picture, should also able to understand what is the width of crack. Okay, so that's why the scale of the picture is very important when you are doing the visual inspection. Video coverage should be considered during for documentation, as it provides an enhanced visual dimension that may exceed that of still photography. Okay, video coverage is also very important when you are doing for the visual inspection, because in pictures we may not get all the details, and in videography we may get all the details, because we can zoom and we can zoom in and zoom out where the deterioration has happened. A thorough visual inspection leads to proper approach to be adopted during investigation. It determines the number of field and laboratory tests required to be carried out. Okay, when a person has done a visual inspection, he can suggest what are the tests to be carried out in the laboratory or at the field to suggest the repair work. Visual inspection generally include the study of the following: ambient condition, crack width and pattern, color, texture and rust stains, sinking of columns, failure of beam column junctions, malfunctioning of machinery, structures, components, etc. Okay, so these are the some of the visual inspections that has to be done by the inspector. Okay, so this is all about visual inspection.